Well, I truly believe that everything starts with peace. Without, peace in the world, it would be very difficult to accomplish, many of the things that that are important to us in life. So, a peaceful home, a peaceful environment, peace in countries is just the beginning of everything. The One Day One Goal campaign was to get people together and use sport really as a means to promote a more peaceful together. Quite often people are having prejudice against one another, conflicting parties don't talk to each other, and once you get people together in the name of sportsmanship, you can immediately break down the barriers. So for us, it was important to send a signal and say sport is here to bring people together, just like big sporting competitions are an opportunity for different nations, different people, different countries to compete in a peaceful manner. Well, if you promote peace, at the end of the day, you also have to look around and in your own neighborhood and backyard. And we realized that Adidas and Puma at the time were really not talking to each other. There was a family feud that had been going on for 60 years, and it was just natural to say, well, if we are for a peaceful together, we have to look at where we can actually contribute and bring two competing brands together, but in a peaceful way, and bury the hatches and collaborate in areas where we can all contribute to a better world. I think it was huge. It was really a relief because there have always been relationships between people that were working for the various companies, and it was kind of unspoken rule that you wouldn't engage with somebody from the other brand, and I think that kind of lifted that. Unspoken ban, and we all got together, played together, and it's a much more relaxed and friendly and cooperative environment in the village that houses those two successful brands, and it also was a signal for our sports teams. It was a signal around the world. The news really went global, and a lot of news networks actually reported on this event, and I think we therefore contributed and gave a clear signal that others could do likewise. If we can do it, others can do it at the same time too. Well, you can't really sustain livelihoods of people. You can't really sustain nature or preserve nature if you don't have peace. I mean, we all have to look around the world and see the devastating damage that peace does to people, to nature, to everything that is involved in war or in conflict situations. So, if you want to promote a more sustainable way of doing business, a sustainable way of living, everything has to have peace at its roots. Well, I mean, my idea is to really look at sustainability in a very holistic way. We talk about conservation, community, culture, commerce. So really trying to use business as a force for good, conserving nature, working with your communities, enhancing their livelihoods, and using culture, whether that's art or sport or culture per se, to also enhance the way we look at the world. So I believe in creating win-win situations where it's not just a benefit for one at the expense of the other, and that's the idea of conserving on one side, but also creating win-win for people, creating win-wins for culture, and using commerce as a force for good. Well, my belief is that business needs to change the way it is looking at the world and business per se. It needs to be more sustainable. It can't just look at short-term financial gains without analyzing, understanding, and improving on social and environmental impacts. So The idea of the B team was to bring global business leaders together that have all used business as a means to improve not just the world financially and creating financial profits, but also trying to solve social environmental problems at the same time, or at least, if nothing, significantly reduce negative impacts that business historically has had. And so Richard Branson and I decided to create the B team, and we now have over 20 wonderful leaders that are all really using business to promote a more positive and more sustainable agenda. We believe that's important because business too long and too often is just focused on short-term financial gains. Well, I think you have to look at things positive. If you just have a negative or cynical approach to life, you're not going to really change anything for the better. So, nobody knows what the world will look like 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 years from now, but we can all contribute in the here and now, and that's what we are trying to do, trying to tackle the big challenges, whether it's climate change, poverty in the world, environmental destruction, loss of biodiversity, many of the other big challenges, but there is more and more technology, things improve faster and faster, and I truly believe that we can find solutions, but we also need to be clear about what those challenges are in order to visualize them in order to solve those problems. To just ignore and say these are problems that don't exist is not going to lead us to any progress. So it's important to recognize, to analyze, to measure, and then to manage those problems step by step. I think all of us, the way we vote, the way we live our lives, the way we shop, the way we work, we all have a huge impact. No matter who we are, we can all have a significant impact if we only just contribute one step at a time. Every drop counts in the ocean, and if you add them all up, billions of people, we can all make a huge difference. I think absolutely. I think it's inspiring if you see an individual really, seeing an opportunity to change the world for better and not giving up, and with all the odds sometimes being against you just keep on, trying to make things better. And I think having that positive attitude and taking the challenge and taking the bull by the horn to solve any challenge that comes your way. I think that's inspiring. That's where all of us can learn from and also contribute in significant ways. Never give up, always keep going. I think there are still many places around the world where war is happening on a daily basis. We are now experiencing it in so many parts of the world still today. There are potential conflicts that are looming. So we can't really say that the world is a peaceful place yet. There's a lot that we can all do. We have refugee crisis where we can help refugees. There we can support those who are trying to solve a conflict. But not only that, peace starts at home. Peace starts, in your daily life. How do you, how do you confront somebody who may be aggressive, or how do you just tackle a conflict situation that all of us, witness from time to time. So it's not that it's all about war and peace on a big scale. It's also about how do we approach life, and how do we approach nature? How do we approach our fellow citizens on a day-to-day basis? And I think we can all, by having a peaceful attitude and by promoting peace, we can all have a positive contribution. I will probably spend the day in nature, trying to explore the beauty of New Mexico. That is actually a day that I've reserved for nature, and I will certainly look at all my conservation and community initiatives and see, how I can set objectives for the next 12 months, so that 2017 I can look back, which I always do, and say, well, this is how I contribute to a more peaceful world.